I was supposed to buy the Osmo Pocket, and I did, but in the process I also had to buy the Insta360 One X. This is a really cool 360-degree camera that will empower you to do a lot of awesome stuff. This video is to share my first impression and show you what's in the box when you get it, as well as how easy it is to set up for the first shoot, along with some sample footage so you can see what the footage actually looks like. The Insta360 One X is the second generation and offers a pretty decent resolution of 5.7K in 30 frames per second. It offers additional resolutions that will allow you to run at higher frame rates, but in that case the resolution drops to 4K for 50 FPS and 3K for 100 FPS. Apart from recording video, the One X is also capable of taking photos, 18 megapixels either in JPEG or RAW. That can either be done as standard or as a HDR photo. If you're new to 360 cameras, you will be pretty surprised what this kind of technology can do. We have all seen a lot of footage on Facebook and YouTube with tiny circles and stuff showing distorted pictures from these 360 cameras. And it's kind of nice. This is one mode that you can use the camera is to shoot through 360-degree video. But what I find pretty exciting about this is that you can actually punch out a part of the sphere and generate a normal HD video and decide the view that you want to use in the video in the post-production. So you basically just set up the camera, start shooting, and then decide what the footage should look like afterwards. How cool is that? The guys at Insta360, they basically call this a third-person view camera. And the whole idea is that you position the camera on the end of a selfie stick, and then you can start filming yourself from various positions depending on where you see yourself on the 360-degree sphere. They are capable of removing the selfie stick, so that is not visible on the footage, and that is super cool. So you can produce some really stunning results, and it's almost like having your own cameraman filming you while you're doing stuff. Even though I only had the camera for a short while, it's actually very easy to use. It's very easy to get started. The whole Insta360 universe is pumped with a lot of features that we won't be covering in, at least not in this video, but it's very easy to get started and shoot your first video. But before we get around to start recording, let me show you what's inside the box. The camera itself, you see it has a lens on both sides, and you have to be really careful not to scratch the lens, because as you can see, the lens is outside the body of the camera. When you put it down on something, it will scratch the lens easily. What's in here? There is, I think this is the battery. Yes, it's the Insta battery. What else do we have in here? We have like a strap. Ooh, a lot of additional stuff. Let's see. There's a user manual and some Insta360 stickers, and something that's absolutely necessary for this camera type. A pouch that will protect it. So from what I've seen so far, it needs to go in like that into the pouch. In this way the lens is always protected, and the good thing is if you mount it on the selfie stick, the pouch will stay on. It will be able to stay on as well. What else do we have in the box? We have some cables. This is a micro USB for the older Android phones. There's one for USB-C for the modern Android phones. And finally, the one for the iOS Apple devices. Let's see, yeah, the last box. That is USB cable. That will plug into the side of the unit here. So if I plug it in here, I'll be able to connect this to a computer and take the footage off the Insta360 onto a computer. I ordered an additional package, the selfie stick. So let's try and take that one out. And the fantastic thing about this stick is that the camera can automatically take it away on the final footage. So once you put your camera in the end of this one, it will disappear when you review the footage. So that's a pretty nice thing. And there's a 1/4 thread here, and that goes into the bottom of the camera. So you have it like that. That looks like a really neat, sturdy solution. I'm really looking forward to get outside and do some test footage with this new device. Let's put in a battery and see if we can power it on. So that is mounted. SD card. Let's take a look at the camera and see down here there's a slot for the SD card, and I bought the model that already had one SD card with it because that was the only one that was on stock. You mount the SD card like this and then you push it in with your fingernail like that until it clicks. So now we're basically ready to power it on, and you power it on by this button. So now the camera is ready for recording. And a good thing is always to remember this, so the lens don't get scratched. The One X can be operated through the buttons in the front of the camera through the LCD menu. The menu system is pretty simple. You press by this button, you switch the mode. So now it's ready for recording video. Now it's the settings. Now it's ready for taking photos. And you can see the battery level, the Wi-Fi is enabled, how many pictures are left, and that the pictures are being taken in 18 megapixel RAW. Switch to the video. You can see that the video resolution is set to 5.7K, 30 frames per second, and I have 39 minutes remaining. When you switch to the gear wheel, there is a bunch of settings, and I can set the settings for the photo. I can go here for the video. There's a little bit about the Wi-Fi and a little bit about the camera. So it's a pretty simple menu, and I can make a separate tutorial about that if needed. All the footage is stabilized with a technology called flow state, and this works pretty convincing. You have to imagine that when you position a camera in the end of a selfie stick, it will not be very stable if there's not any kind of technology that helps stabilize it. And with the flow state technology, it's pretty convincing. Let's look at some video how it looks right out of the box. In this example, we are testing the flow state stabilization. The car is traveling with around 60 miles an hour and there's a lot of wind. And the camera is sort of being pushed around outside the car. Look how stable it is. Isn't that amazing? This is how the standard 5.7K footage looks like directly out of the camera with the default color profile. There's been no post-processing of this. This is how the standard 5.7K footage looked like when it's shot in log format. With the log format, it preserves the dynamic range in the footage that will give you the option to color grade it in post. This is how the 4K 50 FPS looks like with the standard color profile and played back at normal speed in 1080p. This is how the 3K footage looks like shot in 100 frames per second but replayed at 1080p. Now you got a glimpse into the world of this fantastic 360 camera. But what did you think about the footage so far? Leave a comment in the comment section below. But I can promise you, you only see the tip of the iceberg. This camera is so amazing what it can do. Especially the app will allow you to turn your footage in new and creative ways that you haven't even thought about before. The whole idea about you just going out shooting, not worrying about camera angles or stuff like that, and then handle that later in post-production. That's kind of fascinating. I'm thinking this will be the ideal camera for me to bring on the road when I'm riding my electric unicycles. I can just put up the camera and then decide how I want to cut the footage afterwards when I get back home. So you can definitely look forward to that. Another really cool thing that they have introduced with the One X is wireless transfer of the photos or footage that you have on the camera. That makes it so much easier to transfer what you have recorded and actually post-process it directly on the phone. It will also allow you to preview the clips that you have recorded, so you can select the ones that matter. I also noticed when you hook up the phone, you actually have live streaming capabilities of the camera. That will also open for some interesting possibilities along the way. So right now I'm a pretty happy camper, and I'm so happy that I decided to go for the One X because I think I will have a lot of fun with this camera. There is one caveat to all this joy and pleasure, and that's the battery life. The battery life on the One X is not very good, to be honest. I would say around 45 minutes of recording time. That would be the maximum that you get with a fully charged battery. And that's not very impressive. Luckily, the battery can be replaced. It's not fixed like we know from the Osmo Pocket. So you can just bring along some extra spare batteries to extend your recording time. In case after watching this video that you want to pick up your own Insta360 One X, I have left a link in the description below. Alright, that was my first impression of the Insta360 One X. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you're not already a subscriber, then consider subscribing to my weekly tips, tests and tutorial. Take care and see you on the next one.